And he joins us now with a breakdown of last night's Eagles win over the Dallas Cowboys. Really, Barrett, a domination. Even though they were down at halftime, you really didn't – I mean, the Dallas offense, you weren't afraid of them all night long last night.
No. In fact, we showed that Dak Prescott, we have his kryptonite. We made him become a quarterback as opposed to being a read option quarterback. And I think, not to take anything from him, he just hasn't been able to really go through the growing pains and experiences of being a drop back quarterback for the most part, because you have a guy like Ezekiel Elliott back there, which you can run play action, you can run him, and he just is so dynamic that it makes the defense concentrate on him as opposed to your skill set at quarterback. So that's all what happened. This Eagles team, like I said, is built well in the trenches, and when you're built well in the trenches, you can just do anything you want to do as far as running the ball, passing the ball, and the same thing on defense, stopping a run and making your D-backs look like they're all pros.
Yeah, what did you take from the Eagles struggling on offense in the first half?
Too many drops. That's the biggest thing. Too many drops and not executing the way they're supposed to execute. I think that in all actuality, Doug took his foot off the pedal and stopped running the ball. And he has to understand he cannot do that. I know and I understand what he saw. He saw a team that he could take advantage of them in the middle of the field. They aren't good up front. I mean, at the linebacker with Sean Knight not being there, there was a void there. And he wanted to take advantage of it. But they were just out of sync. Like 3 or 4 drops in the first half, they were just totally ridiculous, hitting guys in the hands, just totally just dropping them. They can't expect to be a good team and keep doing that. They have to make sure they go back to fundamentally sound football, concentrate on the things that what got them to that 8-1 record. And once they did that, settled down in the second half, they've outscored. I mean, they're number one as far as scoring in the third quarter period. I think it's like 93-30 as far as how many points, the point differential between what opponents are scoring and what they're scoring. So let's go in the third half, come back, do what we're supposed to do, and then we'll go back to being a winning team again.
Second half, different story. They put the ball on the ground, Barrett. And, what was the most impressive thing about the offensive change in the second half? Because, yeah, they had drops in the first half, but they really won in a lot of different areas in that second half.
Well, most part, they just ran the ball, and the play calling that they had was just great. They used a lot of trap plays. When I say trap plays, different variations of how to run the trap. They ran a tackle trap that Ajayi burst out on with the long run. They also run inside trap where, the guard pulls and traps the 3 technique, and that's what Clement scored on. Then they also run a wham play, which was sort of like a trap where they would motion Selleck out of the pocket, out of the backfield, and then bring them back in and have them hit the D lineman, trap the D lineman, and it really bounced the backs outside. Those are all variations of the same play, and they use different personnel packages and different formations to hide and disguise it. They virtually used the aggressive nature of that defensive line of the Dallas Cowboys against them. Had them going up the field, trap them, then cut right back underneath them. That's a great game plan by Doug and running those plays. And like he said in his press conference, he ran the same play like 4 times at different points in the game. And it just goes to show he understood what the strength was of that defense and used it against them.
Hey, Barrett, one of the things they're doing right now to be successful is mixing in different running backs. In fact, I tweeted out that it would have been interesting to see the odds on Kenyon Barner having the first rushing touchdown of the game and not an Ajayi or a LeGarrette Blount. How do you think that mix is working, and how do you think the running backs are responding to that?
Well, they don't have an opportunity to get warm in there, so it's running back by committee, and I think the biggest thing is he's bred such of an innate desire that when you're on the field, you have to do something because you don't know when you're going to get back out there again. Deuce has really got that meeting room so competitive that they understand you only have certain opportunities to maximize your playing potential. So once you're in there, you're in there. You don't know when you're going to get back in there. So you have to take advantage of it and optimize the situation while you're in there. And that's the biggest thing that they're doing. They understand they can't be tiptoeing and dancing in the backfield, one-step cut, get the ball going downfield because you might not be in there for a little while. So they understand that, and that's why they're playing the way they're playing.
You mentioned the trap plays, too, and staying with the offensive line for a second before we move on to the defense. How about Kelsey and how well he's been playing with Wisniewski next to him? They dominated the Cowboys' D-line last night, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's one of the things, as far as coaching and calling the right plays. And those type of trap plays, it's not asking Kelsey to drive block anybody. It's always an angle. So if he does have somebody on him, he's going to be blocking down on him or blocking back. And now he can use leverage to really get the upper hand on the guy that he's going sideways and hitting him. He struggles a little bit when he has to drive block a guy right up, head up on him and drive him off the ball. Well, they didn't put him in that type of position. What they did, they allowed guys to come down, block past him, and then he was able to get to the second level. And he flourishes at that second level. All he has to do is fake his hands up a little bit. Once he fakes his hands up, somebody comes down, wipes that guy out, and he's off to the second level, blocking a linebacker. And as soon as he's hitting the linebacker, the running back's usually right behind him because it's a quick hit and play. It really optimizes what he is as a player and how he is as far as getting at that second level.
So, BB, on defense now, then tell us what you think the defensive game plan was and why they were able to disrupt the Cowboys' offense so much. Mike's been talking a lot about just fundamental tackling, and it kind of looked for a little bit like their plan was just to allow Dallas, go ahead, catch the football, we're going to tackle you and keep you in between the 20s. I mean, what a concept, right?
No question. We're talking about a guy that, he's not going to blow anybody, roll past anybody. Dez is at a point in his career where, and he's always been this type of player, that he's going to post up on guys, catch it, and just out-muscle them. Well, the Eagles didn't allow him to do that for real. They set back on him, and they were so quick on understanding what his route trees are and what he runs in that offense that they were up on him instantly. He's not going to be a double-move guy that you can beat you over the top, especially a guy like Ronald Darby. He's going to be somebody that's going to run. He's going to try to post you up, or he's going to try to catch something really quick, like a speed screen, and he's going to try to muscle you. All those cornerbacks understood that, and whenever he tried to muscle them, they used different things, different tactics to get him down. He's one of those guys who like to go out and one-arm bar you. They grabbed his arm, pulled him to the ground, almost ripped his shoulder out one. I remember Mills grabbed him by his arm, grabbed him by his hand, and used it to tackle him.
I was waiting for Des Bryant to tap out with submission, like an arm bar.
Right. So, when he did that, these guys understood that, so they were ready for it. So it just goes to the game plan that they did, and they watched a lot of film, understanding what Dez was going to do. Instead of trying to tackle him up high, they went for their legs. How about Ronald Darby coming off a hiatus and coming in and playing like he never missed a beat? He played great yesterday, and he was in shape, man. He didn't even look tired out there. They really had a lot of confidence in him. I thought they were going to ease him in it. No, he went in there full speed, full throttle. I'm playing the whole game.
Let me get your assessment, Barrett, because this was domination. Is Dallas's defense the front seven? Are they just not good? Why were the Eagles able to dominate them so well?
Well, Doug used their strength as a weakness. He knows those guys want to get up the field. He understands that DeMarcus wants to get up the field and create havoc. So we're going to allow him to do that, run draw plays, throw him up the field, and make sure he doesn't backtrack. Urban's the same way. He's a guy that's going to try to be very aggressive at the three technique, jump off the ball, get up the field as fast as he can. And they were using it as a trap. As soon as he get up the field, they trap him and then not let him retrace his steps. And by the time he figured out what's going on, the running back's up at the second level already. Those are all things in which I think Doug out-coached that Dallas team. He used their strengths against them. He understood that with Sean Lee not being in there, he couldn't make the adjustments of what they were doing. There were certain plays I started calling it out because they did the same motion, the same personnel packages. Everything was the same, but a guy like Sean Lee would have picked up on that. Since he wasn't, Hitchens and Smith didn't understand what was going on at the linebacker position, so they couldn't adjust to it. And since they didn't adjust, he kept running it. So, it's got to give kudos to Doug, understanding these guys weren't getting it, and since they weren't getting it, he kept running it.
He sure did, and they just kept going at him. And you ever seen a team? We've seen three-headed monsters. You ever seen a four-headed monster?
Never in life, we got to take our hats up. We're talking about Schwartz maybe getting an opportunity to have a head coaching job. I tell you what, we don't keep looking and keep taking for granted. Deuce might have him a head coaching job around here sometime. He played. He has got his guys in his ring room ready to roll. He lets them know, hey, I don't know how much time you're gonna get this time, so you got to show me for me to put you out there. Let me know you belong out there. If you don't, you be sitting next to me. And that's the competitive nature that he has inside of his room, his coaching room. So I like it. I mean, I love it. Those guys want to take advantage of the opportunities they're given. And when they do get in there, it might be far between before they get back in there.
Barrett's breakdown with us here on the Sports Best. Your take, I've been a guy who, can appreciate what Dak Prescott has done. I certainly don't think he's a boob. But, man, they put the game in his hands. I thought the Eagles said, look, we'll let you run the ball because we know you don't have a game breaker back there. So they got yards on the ground against the Eagles. But I think that was the Eagles saying, we'll let you run the ball, kid, but you're going to have to make a play on us because they simply didn't believe that Dak Prescott could beat them.
Yeah, they didn't, and he proved it to be true. Man, people don't understand how much of a factor that Zeke Elliott is in that offense. When you have a guy lined up back there, just him run faking to him is going to draw the linebackers up. When you draw those linebackers up, it creates a natural void in the middle of the field. So you're asking Dak just throw to an open guy. Well, with Zeke not being in there, now the linebackers aren't reacting as fast, so they're sitting back in the zone. Now you have to throw guys open as opposed to them being open. You have to make your reads, go through your progression. And with this defensive front of the Eagles, you're not going to be able to go into your second or third receiver. You got to make that first read. If that first read is not there, you got to think about pulling it down and running because these guys are trying to get there. And when they get there in a nasty disposition. You got to make sure that you understand where your guys are supposed to be. Well, Dak didn't have to, he hasn't had to do that. Not saying that he can't, but he hasn't been coached really to do that because he hasn't had to do that. Carson has had to do that. Carson, trial by fire, had to go through the progressions of learning where his receivers are. He had to go through progressions of having the game put on his shoulders and him trying to win it. Dak hasn't necessarily been in that type of position because he had the running game. And with that running game, he wasn't presented with the mindset that, I have to win this game for them. And that's a problem. You have to go through that. And he hasn't gone through it. So now he's going to the bumps and bruises of what Carson's already done. He is really still a really good quarterback. But in order for him to get better, he's got to take advantage of this time that he doesn't have Zeke, turn his game all the way around, become a quarterback that understands where guys are going to be and maybe throw guys open as opposed to them being all the way open.
Well, I described it, Barrett, as he got a taste of what Carson went through last year, and now Carson's getting a taste of what Dak went through last year. Dak had the weapons.
Absolutely.
He succeeded. Carson didn't have the weapons, and he kind of looked like he was a mediocre guy. You give him weapons, he excelled. You give Dak weapons, he excelled. You take the weapons away, and it's not as easy in this game.
No question. I mean, it's like holding somebody's hand. When they let their hand go and you by yourself, you have to learn, man. It's trial by fire. So right now he's going through the fire as opposed to Carson going through the fire last year.
Hey, Barrett, last night seemed like a coming-out party for Derek Barnett. How impressed were you with the rookie?
Oh, my goodness. You're talking about a guy, and not to say anything against Bell, but Bell's just not a high-quality NFL player. In fact, I wanted to see the matchup with Tyron Smith, and Barnett. I think Barnett would have had a couple on him also. His technique is starting to get very, very good. He's so explosive, and he's relentless in his pass rush. He keeps going and going and going. He doesn't stop. He understands how to rush the passer, and he has the mindset of not giving up while he's doing it. And, his ankle bend, when we start talking about Derek Barnett, everybody's going to start talking about his ankle bend. Trust me, because the way he turns the corner, it allows him to have great leverage coming around the corner. It's low to the ground, and he's still able to go full speed turning that corner and having his hands up. And you can only do that when you have great ankle bend. There's a lot of players that have them. I challenge people to listen to right now. If you want to see a guy that, rush the passer, kind of like Barnett does, he's just a little smaller, Derek Thomas. His ankle bend was great. Also, Chuck Smith, who Barnett works with. Their ankle bend is such that when he's going around the corner, he's low to the ground, low center of gravity. But as he's going full speed and not falling down. James Harrison has that same ankle bend also. So watch film on those guys and then kind of compare what you see in Derek Barnett, and you'll see why he's becoming one of those good pass rushers in this league.
Before we let you go, were you ever in a game where you lost the kicker and you had to go for two all the time?
No, I've never had that happen in my career, man. Wasn't that unbelievable to go 3 for 4, and it should have been 4 for 4 if Ertz didn't
hold on to the ball.
Like
yeah, almost looked like he broke the plane, but he was about a half inch short.
Yeah, but I mean, long third long, he'll learn from this, and the team will learn from this, and probably have somebody out there, have Kruger Hill out there kicking field goals now too.
I'll tell you what.
I wanted to see him let him try one.
Yeah, he should have let her rip one. But it seemed that Doug was having too much fun going for two all night long there. But real quick, they won a game scoring almost 40 points with Ertz really not a part of the offense at all last night.
Too.
Exactly, and it just goes to show how good this team is and how versatile this team is. You know, look at all the teams. You know, look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have two guys as far as tops, as far as their offense, as their bell cows. They have Bell and they have Brown. Both of those guys statistically lead the NFL at their positions. The Eagles have none of that. The Eagles have a guy like LeGarrette Blount right down at 16, 15 as far as rushing. As far as receivers, we haven't had one receiver with over 100 yards. It just goes to show how this team is adapting, how good this offensive line that you don't need a guy like that to go up, considering the fact you have so many other weapons you can go to, and they can do it. They have the ability to go to it because this offensive line is so good. I would venture to say that the defensive line and their offensive line are probably the best in the NFL at this point, and that's why their record's 9-1.
9-1.
Healthy, fundamental in the trenches.
And that's what you need. You need those two lines to carry you in December and January if you want to make a deep playoff run. It's Barrett's Breakdown with NBC Philadelphia Eagles pre- and post-game host Barrett Brooks, a Super Bowl champion. And we'll see if this team has the look of a Super Bowl champ. The month of December, we'll flip that calendar soon, and that should tell us a lot. BB will be here along the way to break it all down. Thanks, pal.
Appreciate it, Pete. Mike, have a good one.